Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome back to our show. I'm your host, John Harcar, and we're here today with Roy Meshel. And what we're going to talk about, besides his real estate journey, is how customer service is really important, especially in his mortgage business. Remember, we guys at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, all real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x their business by providing tools and resources to help grow the business you want to grow, which in turn kind of creates that life you wanted to live. So, Roy, welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally got to get on here. I know we had some technical issues the first time, but and I'm excited to talk about, customer service. I think is important in all aspects of life. But before we kind of get into all that, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about who you are, your background, and kind of what got you here?
Sure. So I grew up in New York. I went to Arizona State for college, and then after college, I had a guaranteed job on Wall Street. So I did that.
Nice.
For a few years and really missed Arizona. New York, once you move out, it's kind of hard to get back to that lifestyle.
Right.
So I decided to move back to Arizona. And like a lot of people, I got into the mortgage business totally by accident. There was a mortgage company that it was a refi boom. Mm-hmm. And they were hiring telemarketers at night. So I figured I could earn some money to pay rent, buy some beer, telemarket at night. And during the day, I'll work, I'll look for a real job on a Wall Street type job.
Right.
And there was one loan officer there who asked me why I'm a telemarketer. And I told him I'm looking for a real job during the day. And so he showed me his pay stub in the year to date. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy, that's a real job. And he's like, yeah, it's a real job.
Nice.
And he's like, if you become my exclusive telemarketer, I will mentor you. So that's how I got into the mortgage business many, many years ago.
Very crazy. So when you went to ASU, what did you study at ASU?
I studied finance.
Finance, okay.
But, like most people in the mortgage business, when you're in high school or you're in college, I don't think most of us have the thought that like, hey, someday I'm going to help people finance their homes.
Right.
Like, that never occurred to me. Obviously, there are people in high school and college who own homes. In fact, my business partner owned 12 condos during college. But
there we go.
Most of us like just pay rent. So we never thought about like, what do you need to buy a house? We were like, I just need to come up with the money.
I need to come up with the money for rent and have beer for the weekend.
Right, exactly. So.
All right. So how important was it for you that you found someone to kind of mentor you and kind of guide you along, as opposed to just learning other ways?
So I think that was the total difference in my career. Like, I don't think I'd be as successful as I have been or maybe, eventually I would have been But I might have also gave up, but he was he was a great mentor.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
He let you fail and then analyze your failure with you. So if you want a quick example, I can give you a quick example. Back then, virtual work wasn't a thing, right? We didn't have Zoom. Just to kind of go with how old I am. There wasn't Zoom. There was team meetings. There wasn't Google Meet, any of that stuff. But so to meet realtors, you would go to their office, but the receptionist would never let you pass the reception desk.
Right.
Because they didn't want to be bothered by mortgage people, home insurance people, title people, all that. So I would go back to him and, after a few weeks of trying to get past the receptionist, those receptionists won't let me through. And he's like, yeah, that's a problem. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, so you need another place to meet him. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, have you ever noticed they put out little signs of where they're hanging out? And I'm like, what? He goes, there's these little signs. They put them on the road and they say, I'm a realtor and I'm here. And I'm like, open house signs? And he goes, yeah, open house signs. He goes, they can't leave the open house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When
Great
you walk
tip.
in. So he's like, you will meet them there because they won't leave.
Right.
And they'll give you like directional signs to get there. And I was like, all right. So that was like one of his mentor things that, made a lot of sense. Because then I started meeting realtors because, if you're sitting in open house and I walk in, even though I'm a lender, you can't be like, I'll leave. Like, you wouldn't leave me in the house alone. You don't know me.
Sure. Okay.
So it was, things like that he was a really good mentor on.
Awesome. So you're working for this guy or how long did he mentoring you before you kind of went off on your own, or how long was that process?
So I worked under him for about a year and a half to 2 years. I forget exactly, but he took a slice of my commissions.
Sure.
But it's one of those things that everyone looks at the slice they take and not what they're making. I think the short-term view is people go, well, he's taking 10%, like that's robbery. And on the other side, it was like, well, I'm keeping 90% of my commissions. And it became a sliding scale.
Also, too, it's like, what I think a lot of people don't think about what that 10% gains you in the long run.
Right. Yeah. I can tell you today, I would do the exact same. Yeah. I would do it all over again. His style, like, at the time, I probably would have liked him to say, don't go to real estate offices because you'll never get through, and save those 3 weeks.
Right.
But, so his style was let me fail. And when I started going to open houses, it was another thing where he let me fail. I would bring in rate sheets and no one cared. And he was like, after a couple of weeks of that, I said, so I keep going to open houses and I bring in rate sheets and no one seems to care.
No.
And he's like, because you have an apple that's 65 cents and the other supermarkets have an apple that's 64 cents or 66 cents, but you all have red apples. I'm like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. And he's like, yeah. He goes, why don't you get to know the realtors first?
Exactly.
And then try selling them on how good you are. So, that became a thing. So I became known as the Cookie Man. I actually bought a cookie oven and had Otis Spunkmeyer back then used to deliver dough to offices. And you had to commit to 40 pounds or 80 pounds of dough. And I would do that on one day. So I would just bring in cookies and instead of rate sheets, no one said no to freshly baked cookies. And I get to know realtors and, that's how I got to know a bunch of realtors. And, eventually they started giving me business and, the mentorship continued.
Sure. As you did those things, right, to stand apart, were there other things that you started doing more to help you maybe stand apart from the other folks or do something maybe a little bit against the wheels?
Yeah. So, like his biggest thing that he taught me is people are lazy. And it wasn't just not mortgage people, but people are lazy.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
So it was follow up. And then he said, you gotta solve a problem that they have, even if they don't know they have it.
Right.
So if you go in there and you pitch that, I do a great job and we close on time and with great rates and great fees. He's like, and this is one of his greatest quotes. He was like, if you were at the gate to take a flight and you heard the co-pilot and the pilot talking at the gate and said, we're probably going to land the plane today, would you get on that plane? I'm like, not if it was probably. No, I think I'd rent a car.
Right,
And he's like,
yeah.
right. So saying you're going to close on time and you have great rates and you'll call back and all that stuff is, that's what everyone's saying, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're going to make it. Yeah, we're going to land on time in Austin and your luggage will be there. Like, yeah, that's what I expected when I bought the ticket, to be honest with you. It's not like you're doing an incredible job. So he's like, solve a problem. So he's like, find loan products that solve a problem. Like, I want to buy a condo for my kid for college. Solve that problem and tell them about it. Even if they don't have that problem, it's something unique. And then when they have the problem, they'll remember you, but keep solving these problems. And so that was kind of one of the ways, he told me to stand out. And then I did a couple of marketing things that really made me stand out.
Okay. So what do you think are some of the, techniques you use when you walk in and talk to folks? Like, I mean, when you go talk to these people, do you walk up, hey, I'm with XYZ, this is what we do? Do you say, hey, how's this going? I mean, what is kind of your approach when you're going into Realtors now?
So now there's the technology advantage is so great. So I try to look up everything I can about the realtor before I meet with them.
Okay.
And I could see who they use for lending, who they use for title. I could look up every address they sold, so what price range they're in. I could look up a ton. So now when I go in, I'm kind of armed that I kind of know your business, right? Like, so it's not good to talk about first-time home buyers if every house you sold in the last 36 months was over $1 million. They're probably not first-time home buyers.
Probably not first-time home buyers. Yeah, that's great.
So I know. So, my big thing is first I ask the realtor a bunch of questions. I want to know what they look for in a lender. I want to know what their hot button's in. And then I never ask them who they use, even though I've already looked it up, just because you won't badmouth who you use if you tell me. But if I tell you, like, John, so tell me what you love about lenders and what you don't like about lenders. And, it's speaking from your own lender thing. And it might be that I don't like lenders who don't work on the weekends because that's when I'm selling houses.
Yeah.
Right. I got someone in the car. It's a Saturday afternoon. We saw the dream house. We need to talk to the lender that afternoon. So they're not going to say that if I know who their lender is already. But when they don't say the lender's name, they'll say that. So I usually start off by asking a bunch of questions, but somewhat knowing where I'm going to gear my talk to. Because again, if you sell $1 million houses only, I'm going to gear it to some of our jumbo products and some of those people are probably self-employed. So complicated tax returns, complicated financial issues. I'm going to say, my strength is I've done over $1 billion in loans, and a lot of those have been very affluent people. And so I'm used to tax returns that have 20 LLCs and a holding company and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
awesome.
That's
kind of been my wheelhouse. Yeah. But if I see someone's done a bunch of houses at $300,000-$400,000, the financials probably aren't complicated. It's more like these people have, putting the down payment together is the challenge. Sure. So I'm going to go more that route where we have zero down products and we have forgiving credit products and we have this and that. So it's really, but I'm going to ask them up front.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Like, what do you like? What do you don't like? What are your biggest challenges? And a lot of them, in that price range, are going to say, look, I got a ton of people who pay rent, but they just can't save for down payment because everything's expensive, right?
Yep.
So they love, they're paying, and some of the rents you hear these days are exorbitant. Like the mortgage payment would actually be less, but the part of down payment is where the issue is. But there's so many zero down products that we could solve that problem.
Wow. Okay. What do you think some of the mistakes are other people are making that are in mortgage, maybe trying to go out and grow business?
So I think, and I mentored a couple of people who are in the top 200 loan officers in the country last year.
Wow.
So I can tell you that one of the biggest problems is people are afraid to deliver awkward or bad news, but it doesn't go away. So it's like, when you have an infection or, something more serious, if you think you're going to go to sleep that night and the infection's going to be gone and you never took any antibiotics or put any Neosporin on it, chances are the infection doesn't go away. It just gets bigger.
Right.
And you think it's going to get people go away the next night. And what happens is, very professional realtors can handle the problems. What they can't handle is you knew about it for 2 weeks and told me about it at the last minute.
Right,
and there's some realtors, quite honestly, just can't handle bad news because they're not at that professional level where they can handle bad news. And the same thing with, your buyers that, if I tell you, John, like you apply for a loan today and I tell you tomorrow, John, we have an issue because it's showing that you haven't paid your American Express card in 6 months. Like that's an issue.
Yeah.
If I wait till the end to tell you that and say, where are my loan docs? And I go, John, here's the problem with your American Express card. And you're like, oh, no, that was a mistake. I have something from American Express, but why'd you wait to tell me now? I'm closing late. I could have given you that 3 weeks ago.
Right.
So I think that's one of the
100%.
biggest things. The other thing is people don't communicate or they don't believe in less is more in the communication. So they over communicate. And that's an issue for a lot of people. And I'll give you an example that my litmus test for our customer service is a doctor I do loans for. And I've done a lot of loans and he's given me a lot of referrals. And we used to send out communications like, John, we ordered your appraisal. And so he would call me up and say, why would you tell me that? What am I supposed to do? And I'm like, what do you mean? What are you supposed to do? He goes, well, am I appraising the house? I go, no, you're the buyer. Why would you appraise the house? He goes, right, I wouldn't, right? He goes, so why do I care that you ordered an appraisal? Like if you go to a steak place and you order a steak of medium, you assume the chef is going to cook the steak because they have a raw steak. You want a medium steak. There's a process. And they present the steak to you. He goes, I do want to know what it appraises for, but I don't need to know that you've ordered an appraisal. I assume you did.
Yeah.
And he's like, so tell me what it appraises for because I'm curious. So it's that kind of over communication. We do a thing where we send home buyers an infographic that they could look at in 30 seconds and see where their loan is at every week.
Okay. Yeah. Makes more sense.
That's kind of big.
Quicker.
Right. But a lot of mortgage people don't communicate well. They, there's just, and people are nervous. Even people who are really well qualified still are stressed.
Yeah. Well, because there's always that fear of the unknown happening that could just, scorch your plans.
Right. For sure.
What do you contribute to this? Maybe some of your key, before we talk about customer service, like keys to your success.
So, one of the big thing is I'm good at communication. and I always hate saying this because I think it comes off arrogant or weird. I grew up in New York, so I don't have a lot of awkward conversations. So I'm good at delivering bad or good news because it's not awkward to me. I'm like, oh my God, what is John going to say when I tell him his FICO score is this? It is what it is. I didn't make the score up. And, and as long as you're kind of bringing some solutions, it usually is okay. Like, here's plan A, here's plan B, here's plan C. And then I think the other thing I think I bring by this point in my career is I've done over $1 billion in mortgages. So, like, it's hard for me to see something I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen complicated financials. I've seen good credit, bad credit, in between credit. I've seen, all appraisal issues. I've seen all that stuff. So I think confidently when I speak to a buyer or a realtor or a developer or whoever it is, like, I probably have the depth of knowledge you need.
Okay. Awesome. Why is customer service so important, and how do you and your company excel at it?
So I've always been kind of crazy about customer service. Like, it's always been one of my things. And recently I read the book Unreasonable Hospitality, and I think that took it to another level. But I've always been the guy who's really likes really good customer service. And I've always been very appreciative of really good customer service. And, hotels or restaurants sometimes, at a certain price point, you're getting better customer service.
Right.
But I've always been passionate about it. So I think, everyone says they give good customer service, but most, at least in the mortgage business, most people say that really don't. And I think the key to really good customer service in the mortgage business is not just to do what's expected to, but exceed that. And then you're going to get referrals, typically. If you just do what's expected, then you're going to say, well, I did pay him a fee and we closed on time and all that, but it's, it was good. It wasn't bad, but, I kind of, he didn't say he was going to suck at the beginning either. So
you do what you get what
job.
You get what you expected. You did what you expected to do. You get what you were expected to do. You go over, you get more.
Right. So I think that's it. If you want to really get a bunch of referrals from people, you got to kind of exceed their expectations in what you're doing. And I think, an analogy I use, another airline analogy is it's kind of being a good pilot that if you can look at alone and, by this point in my career, I could look and see where there might be some bumps. And I tell you, John, like, when we hit Ohio, we're going to hit turbulence. It still sucks you're hitting turbulence. But you're like, that's the turbulence the pilot told us about. Like, so you're prepared.
Yeah.
And you're like, we're going to have 20 minutes of turbulence, and then we're going to be out of turbulence, and the rest of the flight's going to be smooth. So the other thing is preparing people if you see a hiccup in their loan or something about it that you're like, this could be a point that we're going to have some turbulence. I want you to know that. But like, I'm your pilot. I'm going to get you through this. But it might require some patience, and it might get a little bit stressful for you.
And that comes to building that trust and that rapport with that client, right? Is to be able to deliver that type of information in the right way. Well, that's awesome. If there's folks that are listening to this that maybe want to talk with you a little bit more, learn more about, anything of your business or whatnot, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way?
So Roy at localmortgage.net.
Okay. Are you on any of the socials that you want to share?
I am. So it's under my name. Local Mortgage has Facebook and Instagram, but the one I use most is just Roy, Meshel. So both on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. So
cool.
Do a lot of videos. I'm a big video guy on social.
Awesome. Well, there's a whole bunch more to learn. If you have any questions, I suggest reaching out. We'll put all your information down on the show notes, so they'll be able to get in touch with you. Right, and Roy, I appreciate you spending the time. I'm glad we were able to get through this one. And guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.